if the architecture provides clear guardrails easily, it enables delivery. Slide shows one of the most important lessons for architects. Documents are not the decisions. Decisions are the destination. A weak architecture practice works like this example. A document is produced, an approval is collected, and the project continues. But unclear decision remains. This creates the risk. So a project may still not know the approved integration button, the availability target, the security model, and the data owner, or the cloud deployment button, for example. A strong architecture practice works differently. It starts by making it clear to how to make the decision. Then it compares the options. It exposes risks as well. And finally, it sets delivery guardrails. The artifact may still be a document, a diagram, or it could be a decision record, ADR, or a roadmap. But the process is not the artifact itself. It's the purpose is the decision. We need to decide on which of these will be used, and it will help really in the implementation. So, for example, a very long a document with a lot of pages, like considered as architecture document, may look impressive, but it doesn't answer the key questions. It's not useful. A short architecture decision record may be more useful if it is clearly explains the options, the selected decision, the reason, and the trade-offs and the implementation rules. This is also a good way to explain the move to TOGAF 10, which is it doesn't remove the structure, but makes it easier to select the right guidance and use it for the problem in the front of you. So always the question is, what decision does this help us make? Now we arrive to the main architectural change in TOGAF 10. The key change is the move to a more modular structure. TOGAF 10 separates the stable foundation from the practical guidance. The stable foundation is called the fundamental content. This includes the core idea of the standards, such as the ADM, governance, architecture context, and architecture capability, and core concepts. These are the parts that do not change often because they represent the base logic of the enterprise architecture. Then we have the series guys. Those guys help architecture apply to TOGAF in specific areas. For example, business architecture, the value streams, agile delivery, and the other components such as also digital transformations and security architectures and so on. So this is a major improvement because real architecture work is problem driven. You do not enter a project and say, okay, I will apply the whole framework today. You usually face a specific problem. Maybe you need to define a business capability map, or maybe you need to govern agile delivery, or maybe you need to have a cloud target architecture. Maybe you need to integrate secure by design principle. So TOGAF 10 helps you select the guidance that fits the problem. This doesn't reduce the architecture discipline, but it makes the discipline easier to apply than before. A simple way to say it is that the same foundation, the strong foundation between the previous version and the new version, it's the same. It hasn't changed, but in the new version, we see a better organized toolkit for applying this foundation. This slide shows the practical idea behind modularity. And instead of treating TOGAF as one large body of content, we might think of it as a toolkit. So you select what you need based on the architecture question. How to explain that? Say if the problem is we have a strategic issue or a business alignment. So you focus on the business architecture capabilities and value streams. If the problem, say, is agile delivery, you focus on architecture runways, decision records, and continuous governance. If it's a security, then your focus will be on the risk, the controls, and the encryption, logging, and the the ones that are related to the secure security and secure design. If the problem is data, then it's about classification, ownership, governance, and how data can be uh, trusted. If the problem is cloud, then it's about standards, reusable buttons, and landing zones. So this is the mindset of TOGAF 10. It doesn't say every problem needs the same architecture path, but it says that the architect should understand the problem and then apply the right part of the framework. This is also more respectful of the delivery team because architects usually in organizations they work alongside with the delivery team. So agile teams do not they usually don't want the theoretical information, but they need actual and useful guidance. They need to know which pattern is approved, which standard applies, what decision has been made, and what risk they need to manage. So the rule is that you always have to start with the architecture question, then choose the right guidance. Okay, so here is a simple way to understand the operating model that TOGAF 10 supports. In modern enterprise architecture, we must connect the four areas business, delivery, risk, and data. So the first area is business. Architecture must be connected to the capabilities, value streams, and strategy. If architecture doesn't help the business understand what value is created and where the investment is needed, then it becomes too technical. The second area is delivery. Architecture must help teams deliver. This means architecture can not only appear in a review board at the end, but it must provide the guardrails, buttons, reference architecture, and architecture runway. The third area is risk. So security is no longer uh, just a stage that is done at the end of the process. It has to be integrated to be part of the design. Identity, access, domains like encryption, logging, monitoring, resilience, and data protection, they must be included from the beginning. The fourth area is data. Data is no longer only a database of serving an application, but it's now and can be considered as an enterprise asset. So we need to know who owns this data, and how it is classified, and the governance, the lineage, and the trusted use for analytics and artificial intelligence. This is where modern enterprise architecture becomes more useful. It's not just a governance function, but the concept is more uh, applies to deeper and wide context. It becomes a way to guide change across the whole enterprise. Well, one of the most important shifts in modern architecture is value first thinking. So, what do we mean by this? It means that we should not start with the systems, but we should start with the value the organization wants to create. Let's use a simple example. For example, now in many business systems, we have customer onboarding, like in banking apps, in retail, grocery stores. So there is a customer onboarding capability. A technology-only conversation may start with a question such as which application should we buy, and which workflow engine should we use, which cloud service should we host this application in. These questions they are important, but the thing is that they shouldn't be the first questions. A value first conversation should start differently with the we need to know what the customer trying to achieve, what are the stages of the value stream, and what is the delay, where is the risk, which of these capabilities is weak, and which data is needed, and the how much control is needed for it as well. So in this example, the customer onboarding value stream may include applying, verifying the identity, assessing the risk, and creating the service, and then activating the customer. And at each stage, we have to map the capabilities needed, such as identity management, customer data management, risk control, workflow, and notifications. So this changes the role of architecture. We are no longer only documenting systems, but also should be focusing on how the enterprise creates value and what capabilities must improve. This helps the business leaders and strategic heads to work and together, and they should speak the same language. This is why TOGAF 10 gives a stronger practical attention to business architecture and value stream. It helps the architecture becomes more